My phone buzzed on the table, pulling me from the mundane routine of my day. I glanced at the screen, my heart skipping a beat. It was a message from Ethan, Sarah's ex-boyfriend. The name alone sent a rush of memories flooding back. Memories of laughter, late-night talks, and the undeniable chemistry that had always been there. I felt a mix of excitement and guilt wash over me. What could he possibly want? "Hey, Clara. It's been a while. Can we meet up? I'd love to catch up." Just those simple words ignited a spark in me that I thought had long faded. I quickly looked around the room, as if the walls could hear my thoughts. What would Sarah think? She had been my best friend since childhood, and I had always stood by her side. Meeting Ethan felt like a betrayal. But why did the thought of seeing him again thrill me? I tried to focus on my life, my marriage to Lucas, who was currently lost in his own world, scrolling through his phone on the couch. His presence was comforting yet dull, like an old song that I could no longer dance to. I remembered our early days, filled with passion and dreams. But now, it felt as if we were merely roommates, sharing a space rather than partners in life. "Clara, are you okay?" Lucas asked, breaking into my thoughts. "Yeah, just thinking," I replied, forcing a smile. "About what?" he pressed, his brow furrowing in concern. "Just work stuff," I lied, waving my hand dismissively. But my mind was elsewhere, swirling with the possibility of meeting Ethan. Every moment I spent thinking about him pulled me deeper into a storm of emotions. I remembered the way Ethan's eyes sparkled when he laughed, and how I had always felt a connection to him, even when he was with Sarah. Was I really considering meeting him? I fought with myself throughout the day. Nostalgia tugged at me like a child pulling on a parent's sleeve, reminding me of simpler times. But guilt was a heavy cloak that weighed on my shoulders. I hadn't done anything wrong, yet here I was, contemplating an encounter that could change everything. As the clock ticked closer to nighttime, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Ethan sending a location, a bar downtown. My heart raced with every beat. Should I go? What was stopping me? I could already imagine the laughter we would share, the stories we would tell. But then I pictured Sarah's face, her trust in me, and the bond we had built over years. Could I really betray that? I paced around the living room, wrestling with my emotions. Lucas was still absorbed in his phone, oblivious to my internal struggle. I could have told him about the message, but a part of me wanted to keep this secret, just to see what would happen. "Clara, can you help me with this?" Lucas called, breaking my trance. "Sure," I replied, forcing myself to focus on him. But Ethan's message lingered in my mind like a ghost. After dinner, as Lucas settled down to watch a movie, I felt a sudden urge to break free from the confines of my routine. I grabbed my coat, my heart pounding in my chest. I was making a choice, a reckless one, but it felt alive. "I'm heading out for a bit," I said, trying to sound casual. "Where to?" Lucas asked, looking up with mild curiosity. "Just going for a walk," I replied, avoiding his gaze. "Okay, be safe," he said, returning to the movie. As I stepped out into the cool night air, I felt both exhilarated and terrified. The bar was just a short drive away, and every moment felt like I was edging closer to the unknown. What would Ethan say? Would I still feel the same spark? I couldn't help but wonder if this was the start of something new or the beginning of a great unraveling. With each passing moment, the excitement built until I finally pulled into the parking lot. The neon lights of the bar flickered, casting an inviting glow. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever awaited me inside. I was on the edge of a decision that could change everything, and as I stepped out of the car, I knew there was no turning back. As I walked into the bar, my heart raced. The dim lighting and soft music created an intimate atmosphere, but all I could focus on was Ethan. He sat at the far end, looking more captivating than I remembered. It had been years since I last saw him, but the memories flooded back, and I felt a mix of excitement and guilt wash over me. "Clara!" Ethan waved as he spotted me. His smile was warm, and it sent a thrill through me. I hesitated for a moment, reminding myself of Sarah, my best friend, and the fact that he was her ex. But as I made my way toward him, that thought faded. "Hey, Ethan," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's been a while." "It really has," he said, his eyes sparkling. "You look great. How have you been?" "Busy, I guess. You know, life and all that." I forced a smile, trying to sound casual. Inside, my heart was racing. I sat down across from him, and the moment felt charged with unspoken energy. We started to talk, and it felt so easy, like picking up a conversation that had never stopped. He shared stories from his life, and I couldn't help but laugh at his jokes. "I still can't believe you moved to that tiny apartment," he teased. "You were always the one who wanted space." "Yeah, well, I thought I'd enjoy the cozy vibe," I said, shrugging. "But sometimes I miss having room to breathe." "Guess that's life, right?" he said, leaning in closer. "We make choices, but sometimes we wonder what could have been." I felt a flutter in my stomach as his gaze held mine. The chemistry between us was undeniable, and I found myself leaning in too. "You've changed, Ethan. In a good way," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Thanks, Clara. You have this glow about you. It's nice to see." His compliment sent a wave of warmth through me, but guilt nagged at the back of my mind. I thought of Lucas, my husband, and how he trusted me. "So how's Sarah?" Ethan asked, breaking my train of thought. The mention of her name felt like a punch in the gut. "She's doing well. Busy with work, you know how she is," I replied, forcing a smile. "We still catch up sometimes." "Good to hear," he said, though I could sense a hint of disappointment in his voice. "I hope she's happy." "Yeah, she is," I said quickly, eager to shift the focus back to us. "What about you? Any new romances?" Ethan chuckled, a soft, inviting sound. "Not really. I guess I've been focusing on myself. But seeing you again, it brings back memories." "Memories?" I asked, my heart racing again. "What kind of memories?" "Adventures, laughter, the good times we all had together," he said, his eyes shining with nostalgia. "Yeah, those were great times," I replied, my voice softening. "But that was a long time ago." "Maybe it's time to create new memories," he suggested, his tone playful yet serious. I felt a rush of emotions, a mix of exhilaration and fear. I knew I should pull back, but the connection was too strong. Suddenly, the space between us felt too small. I leaned closer, drawn to him, and in that moment, everything else faded away. His hand brushed against mine, and I gasped softly. "Clara," he whispered, his voice low and inviting. Before I could think, I found myself leaning in even more, and our lips met. The kiss was electric, igniting something deep within me. I felt alive, exhilarated, but beneath that thrill lay a wave of terror. As we pulled away, breathless, I looked into his eyes, searching for clarity. "What have we just done?" I breathed, my heart pounding in my chest. Ethan smiled, a mix of mischief and sincerity. "Something we've both wanted, I think." I swallowed hard, my mind racing with thoughts of Sarah, Lucas, and the choices I had just made. This was a point of no return, and I was both exhilarated and terrified. I knew I would have to face the consequences of this moment, but for now, all I could feel was the rush of the kiss lingering on my lips, marking the beginning of something I could not control. I found myself caught in a web of lies, balancing my secret meetings with Ethan and trying to keep up appearances as a good wife to Lucas. It felt like I was living two lives, and each day, the divide between them grew wider. I smiled at Lucas over breakfast, but inside, I was tormented by thoughts of Ethan. One evening, as we sat together on the couch, Lucas turned to me, concern etched on his face. "You seem distant lately, Clara. Is everything okay?" I forced a smile, trying to sound casual. "I'm just tired, I guess. Work has been stressful." Lucas nodded, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. He didn't believe me, and deep down, I didn't believe myself either. How could I? I was hiding something monumental, and the guilt was like a heavy stone in my chest. The next day, I met Ethan again. The thrill of seeing him had turned into a need, a craving I couldn't ignore. We met at a small cafe, away from prying eyes. The moment I walked in, I spotted him at a corner table, looking effortlessly charming. My heart raced, and I felt a rush of excitement mixed with guilt. "Hey, you," Ethan greeted, his smile warm and inviting. It felt like I was stepping into a different world, one where my worries faded away. "Hey," I replied, trying to act normal despite the storm brewing inside me. I sat down, and he reached across the table, brushing my hand lightly. "Missed you," he said, his voice low and sincere. "I missed you too," I admitted, and the words slipped out before I could stop them. I felt alive in that moment, but the thought of Lucas waiting for me at home loomed large in my mind. As we talked, the conversation flowed effortlessly. We shared stories, laughed at silly memories, and for a brief time, I forgot about my life outside this cafe. But as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow around us, reality crept back in. "Clara, can I ask you something?" Ethan's tone shifted, his playful demeanor replaced with seriousness. "What is it?" I asked, my heart sinking. "Do you think about us? About what we could be?" His gaze pierced through me, and I felt exposed. I hesitated, searching for the right words. "Ethan, I can't. I have a life, a husband who loves me." "But does he really? Are you happy?" His question hung in the air, heavy and unyielding. I looked away, unable to face the truth. "I don't know," I finally whispered. His expression softened. "I just want you to be happy, Clara. You deserve that." A part of me wanted to believe him, to dive headfirst into this new relationship. But guilt washed over me, and I felt the weight of betrayal pressing down harder. I thought of Sarah, my best friend, and how she would feel if she knew. "I need to go," I said abruptly, standing up. "I can't do this anymore." Ethan looked taken aback. "Wait, Clara, please, don't go." But I was already walking away, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't face him or the feelings he stirred within me. I needed to clear my head. When I returned home, Lucas was waiting for me in the living room, a hopeful smile on his face. "You're back early. How was your day?" "Fine," I replied, forcing another smile. But it felt hollow, a facade that was cracking under pressure. As I settled onto the couch beside him, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Sarah. "Hey, just thinking about you. Can we talk soon? I miss you." Reading her words sent a pang of guilt through me. I realized how much I had been neglecting our friendship. The bond we shared was precious, and here I was, tearing it apart with my actions. "Everything okay?" Lucas asked, noticing my change in expression. "Yeah, just a message from Sarah," I said quickly, not wanting to reveal too much. "Tell her I said hi," he replied, oblivious to the turmoil swirling within me. As I lay in bed that night, I felt trapped in a spiral of deceit. I was lying to the one person who loved me, all while chasing a fleeting connection that could ruin everything. And as I thought about Sarah, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the edge of a precipice, ready to fall. The weight of my betrayal had become too much to bear, and I knew I had to confront it soon. My heart raced as I sat across from Lucas at our small kitchen table. He looked at me with those warm, trusting eyes, and for a moment, I felt the weight of my secret pressing down hard on my chest. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden glow over our breakfast, but it felt more like a spotlight on my guilt. He picked up his coffee cup and took a sip, unaware of the storm brewing inside me. "Clara, we need to talk," Lucas said, setting his cup down. His tone was serious, and I could feel a knot forming in my stomach. I knew he could sense something was off, but I had no idea how to explain what was happening in my heart. "About what?" I asked, trying to sound casual. I could hear my voice tremble slightly. He leaned in closer, his brow furrowing. "I just feel like we've been a bit distant lately. I want to work on this. On us. You know I love you, right?" His words hit me like a wave, crashing against the shore of my conscience. I nodded, forcing a smile. "I love you too, Lucas. I'm just a bit stressed with work." It felt like a lie, wrapped in truth, but I hoped it would be enough to keep him from digging deeper. Lucas sighed, looking down at the table. "I think we should plan a weekend away, just the two of us. We could use some time to reconnect." The thought of escaping with him sounded wonderful, yet my heart ached at the thought of Ethan waiting for my next message. I forced a smile, trying to mask my inner turmoil. "That sounds great. We could go to the cabin." "Perfect," he said, a genuine smile lighting up his face. I wished I could feel the same joy, but the thought of Ethan lingered in my mind like a shadow. Later that day, I found myself at the coffee shop where Sarah and I used to meet. I needed to talk to someone who understood me, someone who could help me navigate this mess. As I walked in, the familiar aroma of coffee mixed with baked goods wrapped around me like a warm hug. But the moment I spotted Sarah, a chill ran down my spine. She was sitting by the window, her eyes focused on the book in her hands. "Clara!" she exclaimed, her face lighting up as I approached. "It's been too long. How have you been?" I hesitated, feeling the weight of my secret pressing against my chest. "Oh, busy with work and everything." Sarah put down her book and leaned in closer, her expression shifting to concern. "You look a bit stressed. Is everything okay?" I forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow even to my own ears. "Yeah, just the usual stuff. But I'm glad to see you." As we chatted, I felt a growing tension in the pit of my stomach. Eventually, our conversation turned to love and relationships. "I've been thinking about love lately, how complicated it can be," Sarah said, her voice thoughtful. "It's all about loyalty, right? You've got to be there for the people you care about." Her words struck me like a lightning bolt, igniting the guilt I had been trying to suppress. "Of course, loyalty is important," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. "What about you and Lucas? Are you two still happy?" she asked, her gaze piercing through my facade. "Yeah, we're fine," I lied, feeling the weight of my words. But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't true. The truth was festering inside me, and I didn't know how much longer I could keep it hidden. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I glanced at the screen, my heart sinking when I saw Ethan's name. I couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement mixed with fear. I quickly silenced it, not wanting Sarah to see. "Clara, are you okay? You look pale," she said, her voice full of concern. I forced a smile, but it felt more like a grimace. "I just need to take care of some things. You know how life gets." As I left the coffee shop, I felt more trapped than ever. Lucas wanted to strengthen our relationship, and Sarah was right about loyalty. Yet, my heart was still tethered to Ethan. I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, teetering between two worlds, and I didn't know how to take a step back. When I got home that evening, Lucas was waiting for me, his expression a mix of hope and worry. "You okay?" he asked, his voice softening. "Yeah, just a lot on my mind," I replied, forcing myself to look into his eyes. But inside, I was screaming, desperate to escape the turmoil I had created. As I lay in bed that night, I stared at the ceiling, my thoughts racing. I was stuck between my desire for Ethan and my commitment to Lucas. The weight of my choices felt unbearable, and I knew I had to confront the truth soon, before it consumed me whole. Sitting in my favorite cafe, I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I glanced at the door, waiting for Sarah. I knew I had to tell her everything, but my heart raced with fear. What would she think of me? I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me. When Sarah walked in, her bright smile faded as she saw my expression. "Clara, what's wrong?" she asked, concern filling her eyes. "I need to talk to you, Sarah," I said, my voice trembling. "It's about Ethan." Her eyes widened, and I could see the confusion mixed with alarm. "Ethan? What do you mean?" I felt the tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. "I've been seeing him. I didn't mean for it to happen, but I've fallen for him." Sarah's face went pale. "Clara? How could you? He's my ex. And what about Lucas?" I lowered my head, unable to meet her gaze. I know I messed up. I didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. And now I feel trapped." She shook her head slowly, taking a step back. "You've betrayed me, Clara. How could you do this?" "I didn't want to hurt you," I pleaded, my heart breaking. I felt lonely in my marriage, and Ethan was there. He made me feel alive again. Sarah crossed her arms, her expression a mix of hurt and anger. "But you didn't think about how this would affect me? Or Lucas?" "I know. I should have thought it through," I said, tears spilling down my cheeks. "I wish I could take it all back. I hate myself for what I've done." The silence between us was thick with tension. I could see the conflict in Sarah's eyes. She wanted to support me, but my actions had put a chasm between us. "Clara, I need some time to process this," she finally said, her voice shaky. "I can't just pretend everything is okay." "I understand," I whispered, feeling the loss of our friendship weigh heavily on my heart. "But I need to end things with Ethan. I realize now that my loyalty to you and my marriage to Lucas have to come first." Sarah looked at me, her expression softening slightly. "Do you really mean that? Ending things with him won't be easy." "I know it won't," I replied, "but I have to do what's right. I can't keep living this lie." We sat in silence for a moment, both of us lost in our thoughts. I felt a mix of relief and despair. I was finally ready to let go of Ethan, but I could sense the distance that had formed between Sarah and me. "Clara," Sarah said quietly, breaking the silence. "I want to support you, but it's going to take time for me to heal from this." "I get it," I said, my heart aching for our friendship. "I'll do whatever it takes to make things right between us. I'm so sorry for hurting you." Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and she nodded slowly. "I just wish you had come to me before everything escalated. We could have talked about it." "I was scared," I admitted. "I didn't want to lose you as a friend. I didn't want to admit how unhappy I was." Sarah took a deep breath, clearly trying to gather her thoughts. "Well, you have to face Lucas now. He deserves to know the truth." "I know," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm going to talk to him tonight. I have to come clean." "Be prepared for a tough conversation, Clara. He may not react the way you hope," she warned gently. "I understand," I replied, feeling a knot form in my stomach. "But I can't keep living this way. I need to be honest with him and with myself. As we left the cafe, I felt a mix of determination and dread. I had made the decision to end things with Ethan and to face Lucas. I knew the road ahead would be painful, but it was time to reclaim my life. I just hoped that, in the end, I could salvage my friendship with Sarah. I sat on the edge of our bed, my heart pounding like a drum. Lucas was in the kitchen, humming to himself as he prepared dinner. It was a normal evening, but I felt anything but normal. I knew I had to tell him the truth about Ethan, about my betrayal. My hands trembled as I thought about the words I had to say, the pain I would unleash. "Clara, dinner is almost ready. Are you hungry?" Lucas called out, his voice cheerful and unaware of the storm brewing inside me. "Yeah, I'll be there in a minute," I replied, forcing a smile that felt like a mask over my fear. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The moment I had dreaded was here, and I could not avoid it any longer. As I walked into the kitchen, I felt like I was walking to my execution. The sight of Lucas, cooking our favorite meal, made my heart ache. He looked up and smiled at me, a warm, trusting smile that made my guilt even heavier. "Everything smells amazing," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Thanks. I thought we could have a nice dinner together," he said, wiping his hands on a towel. "You seem a bit off. Is everything okay?" I swallowed hard, my stomach churning. "Lucas, there's something I need to talk to you about." He turned serious, his brow furrowing. "What is it? You're scaring me." I took a deep breath, my heart racing. I have been seeing someone. It's Ethan. I cheated on you." The silence that followed felt like a heavy weight pressing down on me. Lucas's face went pale, his expression shifting from concern to disbelief. "What? Clara? Are you serious?" "I'm so sorry," I said, tears welling in my eyes. "It started when he reached out to me. I didn't plan for it to happen, but it did, and I hate myself for it." "Why would you do this?" he asked, his voice shaking. "I thought we were happy. I thought you loved me." "I do love you, Lucas, but I got lost. I felt so trapped in my own life, and when Ethan came back, it was like a spark ignited something in me that I thought had gone out." "Do you love him?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "No, I don't love him. I was confused. I was trying to find something I thought I was missing, but I see now that I was just running away from the truth." Lucas took a step back, his face a mix of hurt and anger. "You lied to me. You've been lying to me this whole time." "I know, and I can't change that. But I want to fix this. I want to be honest with you," I pleaded. "I want to work on our marriage. Please don't shut me out." He shook his head, his eyes filled with disappointment. "How can I trust you again, Clara? You broke my heart." I felt the tears streaming down my cheeks. "I know I did. And I can't expect you to forgive me right away. I just want you to know the truth." Lucas turned away, running a hand through his hair. "I need time to think. This is a lot to process." I nodded, feeling the weight of my choices crashing down on me. "I understand. I'll give you space." As I walked away, I felt as if I had lost a part of myself. The truth had come out, but at what cost? I had shattered the trust we built over the years, and now I had to face the consequences. Later that night, I looked at my phone, hesitating before texting Sarah. I needed to talk to her too. I knew she would be hurt, but I hoped she could understand. "Hey, can we talk? I need to explain everything," I typed, my fingers shaking. It felt like an eternity before I received a response. "Yeah, we can talk. I'm here for you, but I'm also really hurt." I took a deep breath, knowing that this was just the beginning of the aftermath. I had to face the fallout of my choices, not only with Lucas, but with Sarah as well. The next day, I met Sarah at our usual cafe. My heart raced as I saw her sitting there, her expression unreadable. "Clara," she said, her voice cool. "What's going on?" I took a seat, my hands trembling. "I messed up, Sarah. I need to tell you everything about Ethan." As I spoke, I felt the weight of my actions pressing down on me. I had lost so much, but I knew I had to seek forgiveness, not just from them, but from myself. I had to learn the importance of honesty and self-acceptance, even if it meant facing the pain I had caused. Share this story if you believe that honesty and forgiveness can mend even the deepest wounds. Leave a comment about a time when you faced a difficult truth and how it changed your life. Subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories like this one.